Welcome to TriStar Software. Today I'm going to show you the basics of how to use the Winserve mobile app. To start, you'll need the company code, your user ID, and your password. Your company code is what's used when you log in or set up client setup for the Winserve mobile software on your computer. For the user ID and password, we can go to the field credentials on the server's profile, and we can find that information here. For the app, I've set up a server profile to log in that has jobs. So once I click sign in, this may take a second. It's going to take me a little bit longer because I'm running it on a computer rather than on my phone. Once you've logged in, you'll be able to see all of your jobs, your process jobs, your delivery jobs, as well as your job queue. You can also scan jobs if you use our QR system, and you'll see notifications. You can also spread diligence. For now, we're just going to ignore that. So we're going to go into process jobs and we're going to look at the first job. If you cannot open a job such as these ones, check your milestone on the job in Winserve. These ones can't be opened because they're canceled, but I've made an active order here that we can look in. We can take a picture if we have something like the address that we want to see. I don't have a camera plugged in to my computer, so it's just a random picture. But if you want to take a picture of the address and submit it, you can do that. If you are at an address and you say the first address that you attempted did not work and you need to add a second one, you can click the Add Address button. You can also record a diligence. This is pretty common. So we'll say this is a test. We can then select the due date if we want to set a new due date. Say that this is the first attempt and you want the second attempt to be on a specific date. You can do that in a specific time. Usually this is the current time. We can also click history to see the status for this order. This will be the same as the status tab in Winserve. We can see that there. And then we can go back. We can also add attachments. Say if we already took a picture of something and we want to add it here, we can click the add attachment and then add it from our library. Or we can take a picture if you have something relevant to include on the diligence attempt. Once we click submit, it will then be stored on the phone until we hit the sync button. Once we hit the sync button, we can see there's no longer jobs in queue. And if we go to our process attempt, we can look for 37422, and we can see here's the diligence report that we just did. You can see all the information about it. And then we can see even our diligence report, what we entered, and we can click OK. Then once we go and look at the diligence on this order, we can see that we have that diligence report. Now let's go back to that job. Oops. And let's go to a final status. This is like the proof of service or proof of delivery. We can select the service address if it's an order with multiple addresses. This one has one. We can select the manner of service. Let's say this was a personal service. We can say we left it with who we left it with, Jim Bob, and maybe they're the resident at the address. We can also change the serve date and the serve time, and we can add a report for the proof of service. You can then click next to submit it. I'm not going to submit it just because, I'm not going to submit it just yet because I want to look at the other options that are on this order. We can select from library. This is the same as uploading a photo in case you wanted to upload a photo to the order. You can serve with audio, which will record if you want to record anything going on. Maybe you don't want to type out a long-winded explanation of what happened at the house. We can then view previous diligence attempts. We can also view any PDF attachments that are on the order. This one does not have any. And then we can view the list of documents that we are sending. So let's go ahead and go back to the final service. We can say this was Jim Bob, who is a resident, And we want to put serve date is today. We can also change this to whatever we want. Let's go ahead and say it's 26th. And we can say this is a test. Now, once we click next, we'll be asked for our physical description. So we can do, say it was a male who looked in his 40s, gray hair, is a white, and let's say he weighs about 200 pounds and 6 feet. We can also enter the eye color, let's say blue, and distinguishing mark, tattoos on face. Any sort of distinguishing marks, tattoos, anything like that you want to add. We can also do our current GPS location. So it'll store the location of the address first. And since I don't have this hooked up to an actual phone, it won't be able to get my current GPS. But say I was at a different address that I'm going to add later, I could get the current address or current GPS location. I can also include in attachments if I have any attachments, and I can sign it like this if I want to save the signature, and then I can click submit. Now that it's here, you can see that the job is in the queue. It has not been sent to Winserve. If I click the sync button, it will then send the job to Winserve. And in Winserve, we can see the final status area. And we should be able to see that work order number. What was it? 37422. And if we click import, we can see that it'll look like a regular proof of service. There we go, except all of the information is filled in. We have the physical descriptions, the date, the time, and everything else. It will also use the GPS coordinates that were entered to calculate the distance, if you want to do that. And we can click OK. Now that proof of service has been entered into the system. That is it for proof of service jobs. Now let's look at court or messenger jobs. Now I've gone ahead and made the a messenger job active. Again, it still says cancel in here because I just changed it. But if I go to back to my categories at the bottom and I sync my data, I can go back to the court tab and see that it is active. I can now enter a status on this job if I so wish to. Oops, looks like it's loading. There is a, oops. There's a status if I want to, looks like this test area does not have any preset statuses available, so I would have to type it out. Test, and then wait. Excuse me. On a computer, I get quite a few error messages. We can just ignore these. We can also view PDFs if there are any attachments on the orders. We can look at the documents, say this is a court job instead of a messenger job. There might be some court attachments. We can also look at the history if we want to see the status similar to a process job. We can also go to submit the proof of delivery. Test. Sorry about the error message. We can add attachments if we have an attachment, such as a picture. Go ahead and click done. And then we can click submit to submit the proof of delivery for those types of jobs. And there we have it. That is how to enter process and messenger and court jobs. The messenger and court jobs are the same type of filling out on these. And once we've submitted it, we can go ahead and hit sync. And that is all there is to know about the Winserve mobile app.